Hello and welcome to the Simple Game Dev. This is part 11 of the tutorial series, and in today's episode we are going to create the character controller, so to speak, or basically what the player is going to be moving. In this case, the little bunny with the claws. So I'm gonna show you first the finished result, and I have it here in another Unity window. So that you know what we're gonna be doing all of this process. It's pretty simple. Basically, it's an empty game object, this blue player, that contains the bunny model as well as the claw model. Both are models that are animated through bones. And as you can see, the character is a separate mesh. I can hide it here. And the claw is another separate mesh. So that's why we need this parent game object to contain both of them. And also we're gonna be creating a script called a player animation script that will handle all the transition and animations of these two meshes. So basically when you press a button, the bunny is going to animate his little arms, and this claw is going to shoot the thing. And also, if you see here, it also has a claw collider. Well, I call it claw collider. It's just a sphere collider attached to one of the bones. So that's pretty much it. And this collider, by the way, is the one responsible for checking if the claw actually in touch with one of the bumps or vegetables that are gonna be spawning. So yeah, that's pretty simple. So I'm gonna grab this window again out of the way, and we are going to be creating that right now. So since there's a lot of things going on in here, I want to, first of all, let's save our scene and save our project. And I'm going to create a new scene so that I can focus on just the character that I want to make, right? I'm actually going to destroy this as well. So let's just keep the directional light where it is. And let's create a game object, an empty game object. We're going to place it at 0, scale 1. Okay, so I'm going to call this blue underscore player. Now remember, our game is for 2 players, so we're gonna be creating only one, and then we will just change the name and the texture, since basically the character is the same, but we just change the color of it. So let's go to our bumps and veggies folder, and then go to the FBX and grab the bunny model. Now drag and drop the bunny model to the blue player. Now as you can see, this character is in this crying position. Now it doesn't really matter what's the the first position, since, well, we're gonna be changing it in the animator. So let's also grab the claw model and place it again inside the blue player. Cool. Now the next thing we want to do is go inside the claw model, claw armature, bone 06, 07, 08, basically just go to the end of the chain. And inside this bone, we are going to create a sphere. Okay, that's huge. Yeah, that's huge. Also, I believe the character is pretty tiny, so let me create a cube just to see. Okay, it's not that small, but the version I have in the final game, it's scaled up by 5, so So I'm gonna scale this guy 5 times. And let me double check. The claw model is also scaled 5 times as well. Let's do that. 5. Perfect. Because otherwise, when you drag it into your scene, I believe it's gonna be pretty tiny. So let's keep it at 5. If not, we can always revert it back. So back to the claw, bone 0.010 / end, and I'm going to create an empty there, and I'm going to call this claw collider. I'm going to move it. Well, first I'm going to create a sphere collider and add a sphere collider here. Now, as you can see, it's still huge, so I'm going to scale it down roughly the size of, let's say, the vegetables that we are going to be grabbing. So something like that would be good. And I'm going to move it up a little bit. Well, not up, outside of the claw, just a little bit. I think that's pretty good size for it. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is create the Animator controller for our bunny. So let's go to let's say Animators and create a new Animator controller. I'll call this bunny Animator. Perfect. So double click on the Animator so that it opens up. Now remember, if you don't have the Animator window for some reason, you can always go to Window and Animator, and then you can just drag it and put it wherever you want. So with the bunny model selected, grab the bunny Animator and put it in the controller slot. Now again, double click on it so that we can select it, and let's create our animation tree. And in order to do that, if you remember, go to the FBX, go to the bunny model, and the first animation that we need, as you can see, this is the list of all the animations, is the bunny idle claw, because the game is going to be running and the character is just going to be idling, but with the claw, right? So let's drag and drop that animation, bunny idle claw, and since it's the first animation that we drag, it's automatically set as a default. That's why the color is orange. Now we have another animation called activate claw. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, bunny activate claw. I'm gonna drag and drop it here. Now we're gonna connect this two guys here and one going back. Now I also added a jumping animation for when the character wins. So let's do that as well. Go to FBX, jump up, and if you want to preview the animations, right here. Now I separated the jump into two parts, one for jumping up and the other one for landing, because you don't really know how far your character will jump, right? So let's drag that one in, jump up, sorry. And we are going to connect both to the jump animation. Also drag and drop our land animation. Yeah, that's the one. And again, connect the jump up to land and jump and land to jump up. So this is the basics, I guess, layout of our animation tree. Now we have to create the parameters, right? So let's click on this tab called parameters, and I'm gonna need one trigger, I believe, and I'm gonna call this activate claw. And what this is going to do is every time we send the activate claw, we want obviously to activate the claw animation, right? So if we go to this arrow here from idle claw to activate claw, and conditions is empty, we add a new condition, and that's it. We activate claw. Now for the returning part, we don't need any condition, because basically it just activates the claw and it goes back like really quickly. So we always want this to go from this activate to idle again. However, on this one we do need the parameter or the condition. Also uncheck the has exit time, otherwise it will have to wait until the other animation finishes playing, and what we want is a quick response of the game, right? So as soon as you press it, bam, the animation starts. Now for this other conditions, I am going to create another trigger. I'm going to call this has1. So when either of the players reaches the goal, we can send this parameter, and it will move from any of the animation to the jumping animation. So create a new condition. Remember, you have to have this arrow selected and choose has1 for both. Has1, again, uncheck has exit time. And lastly, for these ones, since we didn't add any condition, what's going to happen really, actually let's play it so that you can see. Okay, as you can see, the bunny is idling. However, it's not doing it, it's not looping, right? So let's fix that first. Let's go to our bumps and veggies, FBX, bunny model, and under the idle claw animation here, check loop time and loop pose and hit apply. Now if we click play, you will see that our character is idling forever. Nice, that's exactly what we want. Now remember, if you have idling animations, you normally want them to loop. So that's one way of doing it. If you notice that in one of your animations your character is just stopping, that's probably the reason. You just have to check loop time. Okay, so let's move now to our claw model. And again, our claw model, it's a pretty similar situation. We need to create another animator. Animation controller, claw animator. Actually, I'm gonna keep this with, there you go. And let's add this claw animator where it belongs. Okay. Now let me double check the finished one, because I don't want to get any errors. In our case, it only has 2 animations. So let's go to bumps and veggies, music, no, FBX, close this bunny model, and open up the claw model. And yeah, as you can see, it only has those 2 animations and a close claw. So that's it. Let's grab our closed claw animation, and we're gonna use this one as our default, and then also drag the other animation, claw armature action. Now we're gonna connect this to make a transition between the closed one. Remember, right click, make transition, and connect it to the other one. Same thing to go back. And in the parameters, we only need a trigger called activate claw. And from the arrow that goes, in the arrow that goes from claw armature closed claw to armature action, that's where we're going to add the condition activate claw. Uncheck exit time, and the other one we just have to leave it as is. So let's gonna try this one. I'm gonna try this and activate claw. That's it. Now it looks a little bit weird. It might be because of the speed. So let's change the speed of our armature to, let's say, 2. It's gonna be twice as fast. It should look better. Okay. So something is not right. Okay, close the claw. I am not quite sure why it's staying in that closed armature. It's doing like really fast and then going back to it. 1 second. Okay, yep, that fixed it. Basically what I did, this is where you control the like how your transition or your blending between one animation or the other works. So what I did is just drag this blue slider here all the way to the frame 0. And now if you play, it's doing it the right way. It's just doing it really quickly, but as you can see, it's working. Again, if you think this animation is too fast, you can always go back to the Animator controller and check, click on the node that you want to modify, and here under the speed you can change it to, I don't know, 3 if you want it faster, and again you can test it out. Now since I used 2 for the final game, so I'm gonna keep that number. Now the only thing I want to do in this video is to actually have this claw, have a material in this claw. So I type in claw, there we go, claw texture. So click on the mesh and make sure it's the right one, because you can see the outline, the blue outline here, and just drag and drop the texture. Okay, now that we have our texture in place, you see that the claw doesn't really match the color of our character, because our character is a blue one, and the claw is pink. Now I did that on purpose so that I can show you this neat trick. Since this is a very simple model and it's a very simple texture, what I did is actually laid out both colors in one texture so that Unity doesn't have to, or I mean your device doesn't have to load two different textures. So that's a way of making it a bit more optimized. So if you want to change this to blue, you just have to change the offset by 0.5 on the X, and that's it. As you can see, it's blue now. So the last thing I want to do is make a prefab of this so that we don't lose our progress. So let's find our prefabs folder, here it is, and drag our blue player. Remember, drag the entire blue player object with all these meshes inside. So drag and drop it to your prefabs folder, and that's it. Your prefab is created. So that's all for this video. I'll see you on the next one, where we will start doing the scripts that will control both our bunny and the claw. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.